Welcome to the Fanning Archives. This is pretty historic stuff that we're going to look at today. And if you're a fan of the 68 baseball expansion, whether it was Expos or not, whether it's Padres, Royals, Expos, or Seattle, we got some really cool things to look at today. So this right here is a Let's Talk Baseball by O'Keefe, so you can check the year on this. A message from the president, John McHale. So this is literally a Birth of the Expos little pamphlet that might have been available to fans. I'm not sure here, but you can see this. The next stroke was to recruit the finest minds and organizing abilities available, and the Expos struck it rich with John McHale and Jim Fanning, both lured from the commissioner's office in New York. This goes into the history. I think it would have been a fan giveaway. Here's something else that's pretty cool. Major League Baseball is here. Early on in the Expos history, it was more about what minor league baseball is kind of right now. Except you had Willie Mays and Stargell and all these guys, Clemente, that you could actually tell fans of the game in Montreal that these future Hall of Famers from around the National League are coming into town. Fun dates. Yeah, it's really cool. Well over 1 million fans heading for Jerry Park. How awesome is that? At the time, oh, look at this. I haven't actually looked at this yet, so this is cool. Wow. Okay, that's really cool. Maybe you could comment on this video if you were around for the Jerry Park era. Look at this right here. $600 cars, 1,300 cars. Man, must have been a great time going to Jerry Park. Parc Jarry, now tennis facility. Okay, that's where it is there. The district map. Pretty cool, they got the schedule there too. No interleague play. 1969. That is so cool to see that. I don't even know if that's been open before. I close that back up. This is kind of preliminary stuff for the new fans of baseball in Montreal at the time. He's got a couple other things here. This is out of my dad's an envelope he's got. This looks like it's a lot newer. I mean, look at the logo. This is a way newer piece right here. There, he's got a Rockies envelope from when he was with the Rockies. So this is all slightly newer stuff. Yeah, and there's Mike Fitzgerald, Jeff Parrott. So this is all newer stuff. Alright. Something else real old here. Ticket prices for the first year of the Expos, and there's your season schedule. $5, $3.50, and $2.50. And there's an artist's depiction of Montreal fans. You got a cowboy right there. You got the flowered dress. These are the 1969 fans. That is really cool. again, these are probably publicity handouts in the very, very early days. So this is something that I think is one of the most amazing things that I've found of my dad's in his collection. So this right here, he's got it labeled, that's his writing, Draft Original Expansion 1968. So we're going to take a look at this. So he's got the press guides from 1969. Put his name on one, and it looks like they did the typewriter sticker. Lori Bannikin. I'm going to have to figure out who that is. Might have been somebody working in the office. But this is really, really early stuff. This would have been stuff that he was carrying around very early on, but this is something that nobody else has. Very important book. 1968 expansion. Looks like it says record there. So this was a book that my dad carried with him during the expansion draft. And this is before... Oh, look at that. Atlanta, can you read that? I think so, right? Maybe we could bring this ISO down a little bit. There we go. So it looks like what he did is he had the rosters of all the other teams. There's Carl Morton right there. Cito Gaston, look at that at the bottom. That's right, so Cito ended up with San Diego. He was almost a first-year Expo, and he talked about that when he spoke with me for the book. I'm going to have to get the exact words that he said, but he said something about how he almost played for the Expos, and that would have been his first years in Canada. Imagine how different that would have been. He may have never managed the Blue Jays. So it looks like before Baseball Reference, before spreadsheets, before computers, you had to take a ruler. My dad physically took the ruler here. There's John Boccabella looking at the Cubs here. He actually had to put a square around the guys that they were after. Jose Arcia, Bill Stoneman. And they didn't get all of these guys, and you can tell, like Ernie Banks, Ron Santo. These guys are all off limits. I think what he had is the guys that were open, that were not protected by expansion draft, I think he had squared off. But Adolfo Phillips is there too. Billy Williams. Here's Cincinnati. John Bench. Lee May. So, there's Tony Perez. Pete Rose, Mac Jones. Because some of these guys that are squared... There's Ron Brand. This is Houston. This I think is the Colt 45s. LeMaster was up there. Joe Morgan. There's Rusty. Look at that. Nate Colbert. I think maybe not every player would have been... Yeah, like Zoilo Versailles. This is Minnesota. No, this is LA. He didn't play for the Expos. So it looks like they had their guys that they wanted. And whether or not they were able to actually get them, they were going to find out on the draft day. Drysdale, like there's going to be names. There's the Mets, Kuzman. Look at that. Who we got here? Philly? Come on. Let's see what we got going on here. And Steve Arlen down there. Pittsburgh. Doc Ellis. Imagine he'd been an Expo. Manny Sanguian. Al Oliver. Maz, eventual Expo. Al Oliver. There's Clemente, Willie Stargell, Manny Mota, Clendenin, Wills, okay. Al McBean, Ron Slocum. There's Pittsburgh, St. Louis. So we know that they got, where is he? Yeah, down there. Coco LeBoy. Right there. There, I see that better. Dave Giusti. I think Dave Giusti just died recently. I think I saw that. Looks like he had the stats for the Giants taped in here. I wonder if he had Felipe. Well, he had a Jesus circled. Willie McCovey, Ron Hunt. Where are we at here? Minor Leagues draft list. So this stuff is all publicized. Like back then, again, like without the ability to just pull this stuff up on computers and spreadsheets, you're doing a lot of it by hand. Here's a wire to Spec Richardson. Hey, Spec. Get you a beer at the winter meetings, old bud. I'll trade you 6 beers for a pitcher, old buddy. Here. As per Commissioner's direction, I am available to further negotiate with the Houston club the consideration due your club for the contract of Don Clendenin. ... Jim Fanning, General Manager. General M, Montreal. Oh, look at this. This is the first time I see this. The Commissioner of Baseball today. This is March 21st, 69 up there. Commissioner of Baseball today has made the following order regarding the Alou, Clendenin, and Staub trade on January 22 of 69, having fully considered the contention of the Houston and Montreal clubs regarding the Alou, Clendenin, and Staub trade of January 22nd, and all pertinent facts, including all submissions of the clubs the Commissioner of Baseball presents to the powers vested in his office. Sounds pretty cool. Under the Major League Agreement and rules, has concluded in the best interests of baseball to order as follows. Ghost runners on second. No. That the contract of Don Clendenin shall forthwith revert to the Montreal club. That the Montreal club shall apply to President Giles and the Commissioner not later than March 31st, 69 to place Clendenin on the voluntary retired list of the Montreal club unless prior to that date. Right here. Circumstances arise requiring a different disposition. That the Houston and Montreal clubs forthwith negotiate further and in good faith for the purpose of agreeing upon fair and appropriate consideration to be given the Houston club to compensate it for the return of the contract of Clendenin to the Montreal club. That each club advise the Commissioner not later than 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, March 26, 69, whether they have reached an agreement. That if the said clubs fail to agree, the Commissioner will hold a hearing on Thursday, the 27th of March, 69, for the purpose of determining such fair and appropriate consideration, using Staub's government name here, that the contract of Daniel J. Staub shall remain the property of the Montreal club, and that the contract of Jesus Alou shall remain the property of the Houston club, and that the Houston and Montreal clubs promptly take all steps and perform all acts necessary and appropriate to carry out this order. That is so cool. There was a lot, and it's going to be in the book, there was a lot of up in the airness going on with that. I'm not going to lose where that was in the book. And now we're into the American League here. Looks like they wanted Moe Drabowsky. I think my dad might have played with Drabowsky way back in the day. 69? Yeah, like 57 maybe. Cubs. Here's Boston. Carl Yastrzemski. Yeah! I imagine they didn't protect Carl Yastrzemski. So where were we here? Had a little memory card thing going on. Don Mencher, so we're with the California Angels. Paul Click. White Sox now. Hoyt Wilhelm. I think he wanted Hoyt Wilhelm on the Expos. Look at that. Look at this guy, Alamar. Not Alomar, Alamar. And then a guy, Locker. Lazar. Tommy Harper. This is Cleveland. Louis Tiant, obviously protected. Lou Piniella. Look at that. He wanted Lou Piniella. Fran Healy. So, again, with these red squares, imagine those guys in Expos uniforms. Isn't that cool? Mike Marshall, Detroit, right there. Look at Al Kaline. Willie Horton. Not going to get some of those guys. Pat Kelly. This is the Twins now. Killebrew. Why don't they have the Blue Jays? Here's the Yankees. Joe Pepitone. There's probably somebody out there who's going to ask, like, why aren't the Blue Jays in this book, bro? Steve Barber. Because they didn't exist yet. Man, that's Oakland right there. Burt Campaneris. Skip Lockwood. I feel like I didn't get a lot of these guys that are circled. Oh, look at that. They got an Epstein, and he's part of this list. Uh-oh. Coggins. Kansas City and Seattle. Okay, what did he got here? Did he want any of these guys? I thought he would. It's Tommy Harper right there. Here's Piniella again. And here's Kansas City. Yeah, that's so cool. He wanted Hoyt Wilhelm. I mean, the team's history could have been different. Imagine they had Cito Gaston, Hoyt Wilhelm. Yeah, like, just look at that. Cito Gaston right there. Imagine that. Because with the Braves, they knew each other. My dad was with the Braves when they moved from Milwaukee to Atlanta. Those guys knew each other a long time. He was doing spring trainings with Cito. Got Bacabella. There's Stoneman. Seemed like he got a lot of his National League picks. And I don't know if that was just the choosing order or if that was something by design because he knew the league. Ron Brand, John Bateman, Billingham. But, I mean, how cool is that? This is something that would have been close to Jim Fanning's chest during those draft days. And he keeps it in this book. Or in this envelope with these two press books. If you like this kind of stuff, let me know. Like, subscribe, support this thing. Just share it because I work full-time and I want to keep posting stuff on here. I want to know you guys are actually enjoying it and watching it and this is valuable to you to see this stuff because there is a lot more stuff. I wanted to start it off with kind of a banger here. That's the original draft booklet that my dad carried around with him. I mean, it doesn't get any crazier than that. When you talk about Expos history, and you just talk about baseball history, you pulled guy out of the commissioner's office to be the GM of a major league team, a new expansion team, first one outside the U.S. This is the book that he carried with him to pick all those first-round players. All the fans that know the Expos and knew the Expos in those old days were familiar with all the players in that book when they were picked. You know, that's one of the craziest things to come across. This is just some cool little... Looked like it could have been a postcard of some kind, but it's in the same bag. There's 59 Cubs. My dad was not still there, but he did play for Sheffing, 57. Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. I mean, if that's something you want to continue seeing, let me know, because I will post more. Because there's a lot of stuff, and I think that there's just really cool things that people are going to want to get a good look at. Here's a little bonus here at the end, because I got about a minute left of recording time. 1954 Beaumont Exporters. Look at that. Catchers. William J. Fanning. James Fiscalini. His winter address, Stanhope, Iowa. I used to love how they would put like, Jim is single. Now if Bill is married with 7 kids. This is a pretty cool picture. This is my dad talking to a youth team in London, Ontario. That's Labatt Park right there. That's pretty cool stuff. That's in this same folder. Here is a, for the Jays fans out there, 2001 spring training guide. This was the last time I think he went to spring training. What's this? I have not seen this. Oh my gosh. So for some reason he's just randomly got the late September Terry Tata ejecting him when Rodney Scott was safe. Look at that. Tata called Scott out. Look at this. Oh, Bo Porter didn't even have the ball. This is from like late 81 in the pennant race. So we'll cover that in another video. But thanks for watching this. Again, let me know if you like it, because there's a lot more stuff and I can keep them coming.